Hello friends, once again welcome all of you in botany lecture. In continuation with last lecture, today we will see another mechanism of pollination, that is entomophily. Entomophily means when the pollen transfer from anther to stigma with the help of an external agent, insects, then it is known as entomophily. Insects like moths, butterflies, wasps, bees, beetles, etc. are involved in this mechanism. In the figure shows cross pollination which is occurred with the help of bees. Bees are the external agent. So, this pollination is known as entomophily. In flower first, pollen grains are attached to the legs of the bees and the bees when travels to another flower on pistil, these pollen grains are get transferred to the next another flower and pollination get occurred. Then the plant which belongs to entomophily shows following characteristics. First, the flowers are showy. Showy means attractive, having bright colored. Most of the insect pollinated flowers have a landing platform because of insects land on the flower, so that most of the flowers provide a landing platform to the insects. Again, the pollen grains are spiny, heavy, surrounded by a yellow oily sticky substance called as pollen kit. Then stigmas are often inserted and sticky. Okay, some flower provide safe place to the insects for laying eggs. In case of Amorphophilus, which is a well-known plant because it having a largest inflorescences and the tallest flower. Okay, so in this plant, flowers can provide a place for insects for their laying eggs. Also, in some plants like Canna indica, the stamens are modified into petal-like structure for landing of insects. Again, moths are attracted towards white color, reddish colored attract butterflies, bees are attracted towards bluish purple to violet yellow flowers. That is the all insects are color specific. Moths are attracted towards white color, then butterflies attracted towards reddish color, bees attracted towards the bluish purple violet to yellow color. Okay, these are the some characteristics of a entomophily flowers. Then there is one example, that is entomophily in Calatropis. Okay, Calatropis is very much familiar in regional language, that is in Marathi we called it is as Rui. Okay, in figure there is a flower of Calatropis, and in second one figure the in Calatropis, that is the internal structure of Calatropis flower, because it has pollens are present in pollen sacs. In Calatropis, pollen grains are occurred in sacs. They are called as pollinia. This pollinia attached to a rough sticky disc, corpusculum, where this pollinia get attached to a rough sticky disc which is known as corpusculum to form a translator. Okay, if you see very carefully in the figure B, then these two pollinia where pollen grains are present, this pollinia or sac-like structure, it is attached to a structure known as corpusculum to form a translator, and this translator can be lifted by only by the insects, so that the insects can visit the flower and pollinia get entangled into the legs of an insect. When pollen grains entangle to the legs of the insects when visit the other flower, pollen grains are transformed to the other flower stigma and pollination takes place. This is an example, Calatropis, where entomophily occurs. Okay, entomophily means what? When the pollination takes place by the insects, then it is called as entomophily. Next mechanism is hydrophily. Hydrophily, it refers to the pollination brought about by the water. Water is the external agent. Okay, when pollination occurs through the water, then it is known as hydrophily. Water pollination occurs in totally submerged hydrophytes. Most of the families in which hydrophily occurs, that is family like Ceratophyllaceae, Potamogetani, Hydrocarataceae, etc., where pollination takes place completely under the surface of the water. So it is known as hydrophilous mechanism. Then hydrophily is of two types, that is epihydrophily and hypohydrophily. Epi means to above and hypo means to below. So epihydrophily means what? Pollination occurring on above the surface of the water or on the surface of the water, then it is known as epihydrophily. For example, Elodea and Hydrilla. In both these species, epihydrophily occurs, that is pollination takes place on the surface of the water. And hypohydrophily. Hypohydrophily means pollination occurring beneath the water surface, that is below the water surface, then it is called as hypohydrophily. Here example is Najas and Ceratophyllum. Then what are the characteristics? Characteristics of a flower where hydrophily occurs. The most important characteristics are flowers are very small and conspicuous. Then nectar and odor are totally absent. In hydrophilous flowers, nectar and odor are totally absent. Then pollen grains are light in weight but unweightable. Though they are present in water, but pollen grains are unweightable because pollen grains has a mucilage cover, so they are unweightable. Then stigma is long, sticky and again unweightable. These are the some characteristics of hydrophilous flowers. Then hydrophily occurs in Vallisneria, which is the best example of hydrophily in Vallisneria. Okay, Vallisneria is a submerged aquatic plant. Submerged aquatic plant. If you see this plant in nature, the plant has ribbon-like leaves which are originated from the soil. In the figure, it clearly shows that it has a ribbon-like leaves which are originated from the soil. In figure, there indicates two types of plants, that is the, because Vallisneria is a dioecious plant. Okay, that is the male plant and female plant are different. Male flower produces spadac inflorescences and male flowers opens at the water surface. So they released pollen grains floats on the water surface, and female flowers originated from the base of the plant. It has long elongated stalk. Initially they are also submerged in water. Each male flower has three perianth and two anthers. When female flower get mature, then female flowers start to float on water by elongation of stalk. That is the uh, pedicel of a female flower elongates uh, till it reaches to the water surface and get it contact with the pollen grains. So these pollen grains eventually reach the female flowers, that is the stigma, and get pollinated with the help of water currents. So pollination takes place with the help of water. So this is known as hydrophily. Next point is the mimicry in orchids. First of all, we will see what is meant by mimicry. There is definition: the resemblance or similarities of an animal species to the natural object is the mimicry. Or again, the simple definition is mimicry is the similarity of one species to another which protects one or both. In short, mimicry is similarity between two species, but these two species are genetically very different. Only this mimicry occurs for a special purpose. Either it can be protection or somewhere else. The similarity can be in appearance, in behavior, or in sound, scent, location, etc. depending upon the plant requirement or need. And mimicry in orchids is very common because Orchidaceae is a very largest family, mostly second largest family among the angiosperm. It has diverse and widespread family which blooms, and these blooms are often colorful and fragrant. But not all species are colorful. Some deceptive orchids do not produce attractive flowers. How they pollinate? With the help of mimicry. How the flowers can attract pollinators by mimicking signals of other organisms. For example, like insects. Here one example is given, that is Syphilanthera rubra is an orchid species which mimics Campanula latissifolia. This is the insect scientific name. That is, this orchid mimics the insects so that pollinators can attract towards that plant and pollination takes place. Again, Cotonia mimics bee insects. Also, in Orchidaceae family, Orisis is a big genus. In this genus, the labellum is adapted to have color, shape and odor which attracts male insect by the mimicry of female insects. Again, most of the deceptive plants do not produce floral rewards but attracts pollinator by mimicking signals of other organisms such as female insect or any food plant. Such floral mimicry is particularly common in orchids. In orchids, floral morphology, especially in floral morphology, color and odor play very key role in the process of pollination, because mimicry is very important feature in family Orchidaceae, where female insects attracts towards the orchid flowers depending upon the flower size. Either flowers are too small or too large. When flowers are too small, they do not provide adequate stimulus for the copulatory attempts which are necessary to the plant, the pollinia on the insects. Or in other side, if flower is too large for the insect, then the insect's head does not reach the stigma. So therefore pollinia does not or not deposited on the insects and pollination does not takes place. So flower size plays very key role in mimicry and also in pollination process. This slide shows various flowers of orchids which are commonly shows mimicry of others. In first slide, that is rosa, which is important genus of orchid. Then many species of orices which shows mimicry for pollination. This covers your first point in the syllabus, pollination. In the next lecture we will continue the next important bit, that is the fertilization. We will stop here. Thank you.